evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 10. That's right, round number 10 of the North American Grand Prix. Thursday night, GT League, and we are coming to you live from somewhere in Germany. And yes, you guessed it, that's right, we're at the Nordschleife. We are at the Green Hell, the infamous 16.1 mile, 25 kilometer circuit that has tested man and machine for many a decades, and we are bringing you live coverage of the North American Grand Prix GT League here at the Nordschleife. So, Nordschleife in Germany means North Loop, and we're going to take you guys quickly to the track map so we can show you just what it is. Don't let the size of the picture fool you. This track is one monster. 170 turns. If we were running the entire circuit, including the Südschleife, which means the South Loop, you're looking at over 200 corners on the circuit alone. But our layout tonight is the Nordschleife along with the GP Streck. That's essentially the Nürburgring as you know it for Formula One nowadays. That is on the south side of the Nordschleife Loop, and adds to the distance of the race. So what do we have here tonight? Right now we are currently in open qualifying. This is essentially the same as Super Pole. The only difference is that they're not out there one by one. They're all out on track together, and they are going to have 45 minutes of open qualifying time to try and lay down essentially their best lap. Positions 1 and 2 at the end of the qualifying session. Granted that they do not incur any penalties for cut tracks because these sessions are reviewed manually by the NAGP competition committee, and they have been very thorough this year. I gotta tell you, they've been very thorough. Granted that nobody receives a penalty in Ps 1 and 2, they will lock in their position for next week's feature race. Now, we have 45 minutes of open qualifying. After this, we have a 3-lap qualifying race. So Ps 1 and 2 are locked in for next week. Again, granted that there are no penalties or no penalties to be served. And essentially the remainder of the field will be jockeying for position out on track during the 3-lap event. So let's take it on board here for a minute and see what it's like, to take a lap around the Green Hell. 16.1 miles, 25.378 kilometers around this mountainous circuit. And if any of you guys know your motorsport history, August 1st, 1976 was a day that perhaps in motorsport lore live in infamy. That was the day that Niki Lauda had that horrific crash that unfortunately took and burned, I believe it was over 2/3 of his body, and he was out for a long time, and it really did a lot of damage. But the will of man, you can never underestimate the will of man wanting to come back, because that year he made a terrific comeback, and even though he did not win the World Championship in Formula One for 1976, he gave it his best shot by coming back and grabbing some all-important points. As most of you will no doubt remember, it was James Hunt that won the World Championship in Formula One for 1976, driving a McLaren. So, out on track, these guys have not even completed their outlaps. Outlaps are usually about 10 plus minutes around here, and what I was seeing during early practice were some 8-minute laps around this circuit in these GT3 cars. I think the fastest that we saw was an 8:21, set by David Poole. Certainly no easy task for these drivers, as they have to make the best of it around this circuit. It's a long Darlington circuit. Like I said, 170 turns around here. And but the good news is that this week sets us up for the grand finale of season 27 next week. That is the official end to round 10. So this week starts round 10, and next week we complete round 10 right here at the famous Nordschleife. Next week's feature race, 19 laps. So you got to do the math there. 19 laps at 8 minutes a lap. It's gonna be a long race. And I got to broadcast it by myself. If anybody feels that they want to come into the broadcast booth for next week, and we can shoot the breeze back and forth for about 2.5 to 3 hours, please let me know in the forum or send me a PM through the NAGP forums, and I will set you up with everything that you need to come into the broadcast booth and broadcast with us. Yes, it is a shameless plug. I've been doing it for the last season and this season all by myself, and I am desiring some company in the broadcast booth. 2 is better than 1, 3 is even better than 2. So if I can get a couple of guys to cover the longer hour-and-a-half, 250-kilometer GT races, that would be great. As you know, if you've been a regular viewer of our broadcasts, you'll know that Brad and Al take care of the Monday Night Formula Abarth. I do not have any insight as to what is going to transpire for the following season. If we are going to stick with Formula Abarth, are we going to move over to the Formula Renault 3.5 cars? We're not exactly sure yet. That is 100% up to the administrators of this league, of which I am not. I am a broadcaster. Sometimes they throw me a bone, this time they have not. So unfortunately, I do not know what is going to happen for Monday nights. But I can tell you this, GT Thursday nights will be back. We'll be back next year, next season, I'm sorry. Well, essentially next year, because we will not start up before 2016 kicks in. And so, want to encourage you guys that if you've been away for a while and you're watching the broadcast, or if you have been a regular viewer of our broadcast and have been anticipating participation with us, listen, you know what, we'd love to have you. There's certainly plenty of room for you guys to come and join us on Thursday night. Great group of guys, very helpful out on track. You'll never feel that you are lacking anything, at least in terms of not from the effort that these guys put forth to assist other racers. So you're only going to get out of this hobby exactly what you put into it. And if you put in much, you will reap much. That's the way it works. So it looks like the remainder of the field from Ronnie Nunez on down still have yet to complete their outlaps. Currently on board with Jack Ivy. Let's see if we can find Ronnie. There he is. So Ronnie will go ahead and post up an outlap time of 9:53, and we should start seeing those times fall. And we have Thomas Schubeck with us out here on track. Schubes is driving the Aston Martin number 26 and has been for several weeks now. We haven't given him much airtime, but we're going to give him all the airtime tonight as he heads on out to start an outlap. Go get him, Tom. We've got a couple of guys back in the pits. Looks like Jack Ivy is coming down that final long stretch. And I'll tell you what, that GTR, that Nissan GTR, that is one formidable opponent on these long stretches, man. The cars have got very long legs and capable of pulling away from most other cars in this pack unless they've geared it really high with low downforce. But on its own, this Nismo GTR is a phenomenal car, especially down those long straights. So we're going to see if we can find Chris Moses out on track. I believe he's going to be the first one to post up a timed lap. Andres Preto joining us, and he is substituting for John Wathen tonight. Oh, and there's Chris. So Chris will be the first to, I believe, lay down a timed lap. We're going to stay on board with him. Let's take it in the cockpit. Mr. Moses, the pit wizard. Watching the live broadcast, just a reminder that I do not have the live feed up, so I do not have the chat box open. We do try to save the bandwidth that we have for the actual broadcast. You know, things were different before I moved into my new home for broadcasting, where I had superlative speed for bandwidth, and unfortunately, where I'm at now, my current provider is not my old provider, so the uploads are just a tad bit slower than what I'm accustomed to. And if I have live streaming going on anywhere in my home, well, we will suffer the consequences. So the chat box is not open, and that's just a reminder. If you're watching and you see that others may join the conversation and want to speak to the broadcaster, the broadcaster does not have the chat box open. Oh, Chris Moses getting it wrong, coming out of the carousel. So you are watching a live qualifying session, North American Grand Prix GT Thursday Night League at the Nordschleife with the GP Streck circuit. And these guys, with about 29 minutes left to go in this qualifying piece, have yet to post time lapse, and Chris Moses will be the first to come by shortly after the carousel, nearly getting it way loose coming out of that carousel. So wanted to keep it on track. I gotta tell you guys, this is one fantastic circuit. Kuno's really out Wizard, also one of the NAGP admins. As he comes upon the last couple corners here before the start-finish straight. Chris Moses looking to solidify pole position here tonight. He's going to come across the line. And we'll post up an 8:20, so a tad bit faster. And Brad Maris counters with an 8:20.3. So about a half second faster goes Brad Maris. And we see Nathan Smith now taking to the track. Nathan Smith having taken a short few-week hiatus from us. We're glad to see you back, Nathan. Go out there and give him hell on the green hell. Driving the brand new for 2015 Lamborghini. Oh, I forgot the name of the car. What is it? The Quadra? No, that's Pagani. Sorry. Aaron Parsons moves up to the top of the leaderboard with an 8:19.496. Good on Aaron. Driving that Aston Martin. And Ian Jolicoeur looks like he's going to take out to the track now. Ian Jolicoeur, who was originally not going to start this race, had a turn of events. Able to join us tonight. That is all I'm going to say. If you want to find out the skinny, you got to head on over to NorthAmericanGP.com. And if you're not signed up for the forums, you got to sign up for the forums to get the skinny on why Ian Jolicoeur is racing with us here tonight. That's all I'm going to say. So your current running order, with 26 minutes still left to go in this qualifying session, Aaron Parsons in the top spot with an 8:19.496. Brad Maris an 8:20.384. Chris Moses an 8:20.947. So early on, Aaron Parsons establishes his dominance and places a near 1 second gap between himself and Brad Maris in second. John Ludden currently sitting in fourth with an 8:21.122. Al Merriman in fifth, an 8:25 flat. Ronnie Nunez sitting in sixth, driving the Chevrolet Corvette C6R, an 8:25.824. Ian Jolicoeur in seventh, an 8:27.2. Bjorn Heyman in eighth, an 8:31.1. David Poole currently sitting in ninth, and I'm a little surprised. So I don't think David Poole may have gotten his timed lap in. No, it doesn't look like he's gotten his timed lap in yet. Showing him with only one lap. Jack Ivey puts in a timed lap of an 8:50.7, good enough for 10th. So everybody else still out on an out lap. Andres Preto, Iggy Chiordia, Nathan Smith, and David Zahn. I do not see Greg Myers on the server, unfortunately, but he should be out here. Perhaps maybe for the qualifying race, not exactly sure, but I know that he is substituting in one of the vehicles tonight for one of the drivers that is absent. So a little bit of a light turnout here tonight for the NAGP Thursday Night League. We have a total of 19 drivers. This would have been somewhere in the area of about 24, 25 drivers, but we have some guys with some real life issues, unfortunately, that do take precedence and importance over their sim racing hobby. Trust me, I wish it were not that way for the guys, because you know what, we enjoy this. We enjoy our time out here racing against one another. Competition is real, guys, and so but real life calls and responsibilities calls. Tom Schubeck with one out lap on a hot lap now. Aaron Parsons out there. David Zahn McLaren MP4. Oh, Bjorn gets it all wrong, finds the fence. That's it for him. David Poole posting up an 8:43. We've got Salem Montgomery Jr. out here with us tonight, driving that Bentley Dresden car. Salem's best of an 8:45 flat. He's going to be looking to better that time now here within the next 22 minutes. My former broadcasting partner, Jack Ivey, driving that Nissan GTR. And Andres Preto filling in for Mr. John Wathen tonight. Out there on track on his outlap, has not yet set an outlap time and has not set a timed lap yet. Carlos de la Torre driving the McLaren 650S as in Sierra GT3 car, the Black Pearl. De la Torre posted up at 8:44, good enough for 11th, moves him up a spot. And that's going to be it for De La Torre as we now pick up David Zahn as he navigates through parts of the GP Streck circuit, aka the Nürburgring. On board with David Zahn. So Chris Moses back out there, just over 18 minutes left to go in the qualifying session. It's called Super Pole, but it's not, technically it's not, the format is not Super Pole, it's open qualifying. The Super Pole piece comes in where Ps1 and 2 at the end of the qualifying session. They lock in their positions for the feature race next week. So that's where the Super Pole piece kind of comes in. So these drivers, they have their work cut out for them, because don't think that any one of them would have gone ahead and taken softs. I mean, we could easily just go back to the pits and take a look at our chat window, and I can tell you, actually, a couple of guys have taken the softs. So Chris Moses is out there on the softs. Brad Maris is on softs, and Aaron Parsons set his time on softs. John Ludden's out there with mediums. Now Merriman's on the softs, and I'm surprised because I wouldn't have thought that they would have gotten an entire outlap and a time lap on those soft tires, but apparently he and Jolicoeur are out there driving that BMW Alpina on super softs. As is Salem Montgomery Jr., so the two heaviest cars in the pack out there on the super soft tires. So we pick up David Poole. David Poole has yet to put in a timed lap. He has been out on 2 out laps and has yet to put a timed lap in. Excuse me. You know when the drivers have put in a timed lap when on the left-hand side of your screen, where you see the timing and scoring board, there is a gap listed. So far, we've had 8 drivers put in recorded timed laps. Everyone else has yet to record a timed lap. Don't like to have that. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me go ahead and open it again, and I'm going to actually move this to the left-hand side, just kind of out of the way, so to speak, and kind of leave it there. We're going to speak to our in-house developer, Mr. John L. See if we can set the transparency a little bit higher than what it currently is, just to be able to kind of see through it. So Andres Prieto yet to put in a timed lap. These guys do not have much time left to go. If they are in the pits, not out on track, then it is a wash. You would have wasted your qualifying session trying to figure out why you can't get around the track. Just get out there and drive. You've had some practice, hopefully. Andre's taking it way wide. Trying to regain his driving composure and get back on the throttle. That BMW, it's a heavy car. It's got great power, great handling, but it is heavy and quite a handful to try and maneuver around these corners. This is a tight circuit. Passing here is almost non-existent. So Aaron Parsons still with a best of an 8:19.496, and nothing has changed up top. Just to think that when these when the Formula One drivers used to drive the circuit back in those days, back in the 70s, they were completing laps around this circuit just over 7 minutes. Just over. And these guys are about 1.2 minutes over the old 1970s Formula One times. Quite astounding, if you ask me. Andres Preto down the long back straight, also known as Tiergarten. David Zahn making friends with the barrier. Chris Moses still out there trying to lay down that ultimate hot lap, trying to crack into the 8:19s. Chris Moses using every inch of available track to his advantage here, because that's the way you got to drive, guys. You got to set yourself up to take advantage of every inch of real estate that you can and keep your foot on the throttle as long as you can and not slow down. Brakes are essentially the enemy, however, they are a necessary evil in road racing. Not so much in the oval stuff, especially on the super speedways where they just kind of keep their feet pegged on the accelerator, trying to push it past the firewall. And I speak from experience. I've been doing a bit of oval racing as of late, and am enjoying it. I've been a roadie all of my virtual racing career. However, I have discovered a hidden passion for oval racing. It's not that easy as most people would probably think. Going in a circle is a lot of work, especially when you're driving in a pack. So Aaron Parsons is back out on track. I'm going to assume trying to better this time, although how much better he can get than 8:19.4, I don't know. But it looks like Aaron Parsons is just not satisfied yet. Perhaps has one or two tricks still up his sleeve that he can pull out here. And you know, the key to driving a circuit like the Nordschleife, guys, is its consistency. The other important key element here is not taking your car off by any means. And that even includes if you have to slow down the car to keep it on track, then you know what, do so, because in the long run, you get 1-2 wheels off, you're going to lose a whole lot more time had you just made the effort to slow down and keep the car on track without going off. So, Mr. Aaron Parsons, the wonder from down under, he is on a flyer. And now Chris Moses moving up to the top of the leaderboard. That is Aaron Parsons' teammate with an 8:18.8. So he has bested the field by over half a second. And it doesn't seem to me like he's done yet. Might have one more to go. So right now, at the top of the leaderboard, it is a PMR 1-2 punch. Unless one of these other drivers, such as Maris or Ludden or even Poole or even Nunez, come and steal pole away or second place away from one of these guys to kind of break them up. Looks like PMR's got P's 1 and 2 sewed up. There will be a cool down period of about 6 minutes. Gives guys the opportunity to take a restroom break, go get a drink, have a smoke, or whatever it is that they do in between the end of the qualifying session and the beginning of the race. Next season, we hope to be able to fill that time in with some commercials. no sponsors or anything like that, but just NAGP exclusive material highlighting our league, some of the racing that goes on and stuff like that. So I'm going to be working on some of that material during the off season in hopes to be able to get it to you from the beginning of season 28. If not, then we will complete the work and bring it to you during the season, and that'll be just as fine as well. Good sportsmanship out on track goes a long way around this league. But don't think Chris Moses is going to have what it takes to best Aaron Parsons' new top spot time of an 8:17.623. Having had to slow up for slower traffic, Chris Moses would have his work cut out for him at this point to try and best that time that Aaron Parsons has just posted up. There is a 1.2 second gap between first and second. This is by no means close qualifying session as we have seen in other instances where fractions of a second separate these drivers. No, Parsons is setting dominance early. He's kind of saying to these guys, if you want it, you guys are gonna have to get by me. Come and take it. But I'm gonna set the fast lap here tonight, and he's done so with an 8:17.6. Where Chris Moses is going to find 1.252 seconds, I'm not exactly sure. Have I seen it done before? Absolutely. Is Chris Moses capable? Absolutely. Will he do it? I don't know. He might. One thing that's for sure around the NAGP is that on any given night, it could be anybody's night. You may be able to pull off multiple wins in a season, but this league, any night that we race could be anybody's night to pull off that W. So if you're watching this via the Twitch feed, the one thing I found out about Twitch is, you see, I'm broadcasting in 1080p, full HD. However, we do not have that option. If you try in Twitch to go and set the resolution higher than what it currently is, whatever it is, I don't know, I think it's set to auto. You have to be a Twitch partner in order to get that option out to your viewers. And we are not a partner, but if you try to change the resolution settings, it just does not work. It's set at what it is, and that's about it. I don't know if maybe the administrators of the league may want to consider looking at Google Gaming, the streaming on Google, which in my opinion is much better. The bandwidth is much less. Does not use nearly as much bandwidth as what Twitch uses. decide that they want to do. But I'll tell you that I'd like to see us move over to Google. I'm sorry, to YouTube. YouTube gaming. Live streaming. And there you have the option of setting it at full 1080p resolution. If that's what the broadcaster is broadcasting in, we can even set it up through YouTube gaming to default to an HD setting. Jolicoeur currently sitting in 8th and 827.247, and I believe he's carrying around some success ballast, if I'm not mistaken. But right now, it looks like it's all Aaron Parsons and Chris Moses. Aaron Parsons back in the pits. Chris Moses is still out there. And I don't know what's happening. Sorry for the... looks like we're getting some latency over here. Might have to do is disconnect from Ventrilo. See if that will maybe make things a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure. And if anything, what we can do is we can reconnect to Ventrilo after the race is done, as we wind down the qualifying, a lot of these guys pulling it into the pits. Oh, and Jolicoeur is going to get it all wrong coming through that corner, and that's about all he can do. Brad Maris trying to give it one last shot. Uh-oh. Maris getting a little drifty there. Check some ping rates here, because typically when I see things like this, yeah, so Iggy with 178 is a little high. Parsons perhaps might be the one that's causing some latency on my end here with the 256 ping. But we can't be sure. I turned off the Ventrilo and it seems to have made things better. Smith getting all kinds of wrong. I'm gonna have to pull that Lamborghini into the pits and get it all repaired before the qualifying race here tonight. It might just be that Nathan Smith did not have sufficient practice, and that's perhaps one of the most important things that you can do as a virtual race driver is practice. You want to know the circuit. You want to know what the limits of your car is. You want to know where you can push it, where you have to hold back. You want to know when to floor the throttle and when to ease off. All these things very important to going fast, especially around a place like the Nordschleife. So David Poole trying to get that last lap in. Not exactly sure that he's going to be successful in doing so, because the qualifying session has come to an end. However, it does give some time to the drivers out on track. Don't know what that number is in terms of how much time, but it does give them some time to get that final lap in. And it looks like David Poole, if anything, might be the last one that might get this lap in, as he is on the what I call the Mike P straightaway. That's because of the graffiti on the ground there. It says Mike P. So that's the Mike P straightaway. David Poole gonna come and negotiate these last few corners before the start-finish line. See if he actually gets to that line before the session switches over. And it looks like he is going to go ahead and do so. So David Poole up to 4th with an 8:21 flat. Not too bad a run, Mr. Poole. Not too bad a run. And Nathan is going to limp his Lamborghini across that line. It looks like he's out of fuel, so he won't even make it. Might as well just go ahead. And oh, Brad Maris still out there trying to make last-minute best effort. Brad Maris, one half of Gotta Go By Racing Team. Season 27 Porsche drivers. Struck a deal with Falcon Tire. And it looks like it might have worked out, panned out pretty darn good for this team. And Brad is done. That's it. Chris Moses giving it one last shot. Not exactly sure if he's going to have the time because he's on the, if you look at the little track map in the upper right hand corner of your screen, that little yellow arrow on the far side of the circuit is Chris Moses, and he's just not going to get it in. Although I probably have to say I'd be very, very, very surprised if he does. Might get it in. Be interesting to see. We're going to stay on board with Chris Moses. See if there's by any chance that he can actually get this last lap in. Chris Moses making his way through the front end of the circuit. Trying to get that last lap in. Actually, I'd say he's probably looking to debunk his teammate Aaron Parsons. And that's just judging by the way he's driving right now. Final bend before the long Tiergarten straight that leads into the GP strip piece of the circuit. AKA Zelgrade. Zeelgrade, I should say. Zielgrade. So Chris Moses looks to be the last one out on track and is going to actually, he's going to get the lap in. Amazing. So, Chris Moses is going to be the last one to come across that line. And he does not improve. Let's take a look here at the starting. No, Chris Moses is going to start in second. So we've got a 6-minute countdown, guys. We're going to take a very small break here, and we will be back in just a few short minutes to give you the starting order. So please stay tuned. So we are back, and we still have 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the countdown clock. I'm going to go ahead and give you the starting order. Starting on pole with a phenomenal time of about 8:17 is Aaron Parsons. His teammate Chris Moses, PMR, taking a 1-2 sweep of the 2 top spots. So as I stated, barring any penalties that might need to be served next week, these guys will be starting in P1 and 2 no matter what the outcome of this race is here tonight. Chris Moses second, Brad Maris will start in third, David Poole will start in fourth, John Ludden fifth, Al Merriman in sixth, Ronnie Nunez will start seventh, Ian Jolicoeur in eighth, John McIntyre ninth, Bjorn Heyman will round out your top 10. Andres Preto will start in 11th. Carlos De La Torre will start in 12th. 13th to Salem Montgomery Jr. We typically are accustomed to seeing him a little bit further up the running order. Jack Ivey will start 14th. David Zahn in 15th. Nathan Smith will start in 16th. And Iggy Chiordia will start 17th. Actually, what happens here, you see my name in 17th. That will change as we go green. It'll dump me into the pits and we will bring you the live race action for 3 laps. 3 laps, folks. So that's approximately what? That's going to be about a half hour or so. As the cars spread out and whatnot. So that's what's going to happen. So 1.5 minutes left to go. They have completed their driver meeting. And they are ready to go now. And we are ready to go right along with them. As we hear some of the engines start to rev, the lights will be coming on here shortly. And there they go. I will get dumped into the pits. Luckily, nobody's behind me. And there it is. We will go ahead and get out. And they're off. Aaron Parsons with the hole shot, and look behind him, Brad Maris looks to have figured something out for that hole shot, because Brad Maris is going to quickly jump out to the lead here in that Porsche. And as I stated, doesn't matter where Parsons and Moses finish because they've already locked their positions in, but Brad Maris quickly jumps out to an early lead and just looks to establish early domination here. Parsons, Chris Moses, and David Poole back and forth. And well, I gotta tell you that David Poole, if one thing David Poole has been this season, it is consistent, because he seems to always be running within that top 5 more than often in 4th place, man. It's just like where he's comfortable at or something, but he has been trying and to keep it consistent, and he has been doing just that. David Poole, one of our veterans here at the North American Grand Prix. just mixing it up with the best of them right now, sitting in fourth. So this gaggle of 4 cars starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Ian Jolicoeur in 5th, Al Merriman 6th, John Ludden in 7th, Bjorn Heyman in 8th, Ronnie Nunez gets pushed back to 9th, John McIntyre in 10th, Preto 11th, Montgomery in 12th, De La Torre 13th, David Zahn, Jack Ivey, Iggy Chiordia in 16th, Nathan Smith back there in 17th. Looks like we lost Greg Myers and Tom Schubeck. So Brad Maris out early. Wow, he's just Tokyo drifting it all over the place, man. What has he got? A handbrake in that cockpit or what? He is just sliding it through the corners. And so these 3 are going to start to pull away just a little bit. Looks like David Poole might have had it off. David Poole is now back in 6th position. Oh, and we have one of the cars off. Oh, looks like Aaron Parsons not getting it right in that corner. Oh, sucks for Aaron. He's gonna fall all the way to the back. There goes Nathan Smith. Parsons with an off, and again, you know, it doesn't much make a difference because, oh, looks like there might be something wrong with Parsons' car. He might have hit the wall, not sure. So like I was saying, it doesn't much matter because Parsons is your pole sitter for next week's feature race, nonetheless. So it is Maris, Moses, now Merriman moving up into 3rd, showing that Porsche domination here, and Ian Jolicoeur not content that he got by him, but he ain't gonna do his best to try and catch the boss man. Oh, Ian getting a little squirrely there, catching a piece of that curb. Ian's got some other problems in the form of David Poole. David Poole just behind these 2 drivers that are battling it out for that last podium spot here tonight. And looks like Poole's going to get by Oh, David Poole getting it wrong. David Poole with some serious damage to that car. He's going to have to lock it down and wait for an opportunity to get by, and doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon, man, because these guys are coming fast and furious. And here comes Aaron Parsons. He'll get around Poole, and now David Poole will have to relegate himself to the back, and boy, he was running so good in 4th. But all this action going on, and guys, they haven't even completed lap 1 yet. Not even like that one. So it is Brad Maris and Chris Moses have established themselves quite a gap to 3rd place Al Merriman, or nearly 9 seconds. Now Merriman's got a nice lead of about 4 seconds back to John Ludden. So the real battles right now are between Heyman, Jolicoeur trying to get Heyman. Looks like this only happens with certain cars. So Ian Jolicoeur right now giving his best to try and get around Bjorn Heyman. And again, this is the Nordschleife, guys. This is not an easy track to pass. The circuit is narrow as it is. There are some passing opportunities. There are just not many. And here's one of them. Oh, they're going to go near side by side going into this corner here. But Ian Jolagor now with Ronnie Nunez, I believe, right there on his tail. So, oh, Ronnie taking it off into the grass. Not where you want to be. Had this been iRacing with the new popcorn effects, what they call them, the popcorn effects, the drivers behind Nunez would have had a tough way to go because grass, dirt particles now fling off your car and into the competitor behind you, their windshield and stuff like that, and even their radiators. Pushing the envelope of making it real. Got another battle back here with Krato and Johnny Mac. Krato is a looking. Sorry for give that. John McIntyre driving that Nissan. That Nissan's got plenty of legs for these long straights. Battle for fifth between Heyman, Jolagor, Nunez, and Johnny Mac and Andres Brinkman. Oh, we see some side-by-side action. Look at this. Ian Jolagor going around the outside of Bjorn Heyman, and will now try to establish his prowess by pulling away from that pack ever so slightly. So Ian Jolagor currently running in fifth and still has a whole lot of his work cut out for him. Got one lap down in the books, and these guys are working on completing lap number 2. Again, we are scheduled for only 3 laps. Total of 3 laps. Having a bit of a battle of their own here for the 11th spot. Aaron Parsons now makes his way back up into 13th. David Zahn sitting back in 14th, followed by Iggy Chiordia very closely. Iggy trying to put the pressure on David Zahn. David Zahn saying, nah, I'm not having none of this. My McLaren's too good for that Ferrari. and no doubt that Chiordia is saying, ha, prove it. Ferrari is the best. So some great battles pretty much all around. David Poole still back in 17th, unfortunately. It looks like Brad Maris and Chris Moses have pulled out to dominate the lead. Just 1 second separating Chris Moses from your race leader, Brad Maris, at this time. Now Merriman about 11.5 seconds back from this battle going on here. Myers, Moses, Merriman, those are your top 3 right now. As it stands, we are working on putting lap 2 in the books, so we're about 1.5 laps through this. As these drivers work their way through the rugged mountainous terrain of the Nordschleife. Even in a 3-lap race, tire management, tire preservation, all important. We can go back to the pits and take a look, see what type of tires these guys are on. So it looks like the majority are, everybody's on the mediums with the exception of Nathan Smith, who he typically runs on the softs. Now, not sure how that's going to work out for him here, because the softs will start to drop off, I would imagine, right around the middle of the second lap, which is what they're on now. So, I think mediums would have been the way to go, given the track temperature and the fact that it's very sunny and not overcast out there. 1.5 in the books, 1.5 left to go. Your race leader, Brad Maris, still being hounded by Chris Moses in that Aston Martin. And Moses is essentially in a sandwich, albeit the second slice of bread is lagging behind just a little bit in the form of Al Merriman. And John Ludden now starting to get his pace back, and it looks like he is now on the hunt. Let's take it inside with Mr. John Ludden as he tries his best to reel in the boss man Al Merriman. Oh, Al getting it wrong. Al loses it. Oh, we so need a replay function for Assetto Corsa. We need a replay function. We can just rewind it real quick live during the broadcast and take it back and show you exactly what happened. So, John Ludden gets gifted the 3rd spot. Things were to finish right now, John Ludden would actually be starting in 4th versus what he would have previously been starting. And now John Ludden, he's going to start to check out on Al Merriman. Now Al still running in 4th, but that was granted given that he didn't have anybody close behind him. Running in 5th, and Ronnie Nunez just got past John McIntyre for 6th. Now John McIntyre back on the hunt, wanting that position back. That Nissan might have the legs to deal with that Corvette come that long straightaway, which they are not too far from at this time. So Ian Jolicoeur, Ronnie Nunez, Johnny Mac McIntyre, all battling it out right now for that 5th spot. The closer battle, closer of the two. There he goes. There goes the Nissan. Just as I stated to you, there goes the Nissan, and it's got the longer legs. So all Ronnie Nunez can essentially do is tuck in behind John McIntyre and hope to get some pull, not letting him get too far away. Boy, that Nissan can just hold it down these long straightaways. So looks like John McIntyre even caught up to Ian Jordan, who's going to pass him on the straights. And again, this Nissan has got some incredible legs down those long straightaways, but it does lack a little bit of oomph for the interior corners. And this is where everybody else kind of catches up to Jolicoeur and Ivy and passes them again, and that'll probably happen here within the next few corners with Ian Jolicoeur smelling fumes coming out of the Nissan of Johnny Mac. And so Ian's going to take a look on the outside. Ian trying ever so hard to make this pass stick. He's going to have to drop in right back behind Johnny Mac. Johnny Mac not having any of it here tonight. Wants to get the best starting position he can for next week's feature race. And you know what? If he's got to keep the fast guys behind him to do it, then so be it. He's probably thinking, I'm going to keep you behind me. I got the legs. I got the move. What do you got for me? Well, you know that Jolicoeur certainly has corner speed, and coming out as he almost overcooks the tires, trying to get that inside line on trying to get the inside line on McIntyre. Download it. Get on out here at the Nordschleife with us. Looks like Andre's training got it wrong. It's given Salem Montgomery Jr. as well as Aaron Parsons an opportunity to catch up to him. So Johnny Mac still holding on to that 6th spot. They are battling for 6th, and so, but Johnny Mac just has the horsepower to deal with them, it seems. So Nathan Smith shows up at the top of the leaderboard. That is not the case. We will have to fix that in timing and scoring once the race is over. There will be no post-race interview tonight. We will be speaking with the pole sitter and P2 next week, as we, during the time that leads up to the feature race. Next week it is an 8 o'clock start, so it's 8 p.m. Eastern time for next week's start. That race typically runs anywhere between 2.5 to 3 hours, and so starting a little early before the usual broadcast time of 8 p.m. for a feature race. And we're going to interview as many guys as we possibly can, try to get inside their heads and discuss strategies for the long race next week. Currently, if things finish the way they are right now, Brad Maris will be starting in that third position, and everybody else behind Moses and Parsons will slide down one spot. So Moses trying to catch Mr. Brad Maris. Brad Maris is just kind of like driving a consistent line around these parts. Jr. He's currently running 11th with that Bentley, and Carlos de la Torre in 12th. Jack Ivey just behind him in 13th. Bjorn Heyman, David Poole, and David Zahn. Iggy Chiordia is out. Nathan Smith is still out there now. He must have come into the pit for one reason or another because it is showing him with one extra lap. He does find the wall. I do not know if he'll be able to recover from that. I'm sure he's going to give it a try. Now it looks like Chris Moses might just be challenging for that spot back, for the top spot. Might be figuring that he wants to finish in the same way that they qualified with PMR on top. Moses is going to get alongside that Porsche of Brad Maris. Looks like Chris Moses might just get this pass done. They're still nearly side by side. Chris Moses now in the last right left corner, and he's going to bring it to the line first. And this is essentially going to be it, folks. This is your race, and they are done. So it is Chris Moses, Brad Maris. We will have to fix the fact that Nathan Smith is showing at the top of the leaderboard. John Ludden brings it home. Al Merriman will bring it home in 5th. John McIntyre holding on over Nunez and Ian Jolie. Ian Jolie, of course, sliding down the order. Aaron Parsons is going to bring it home in 9th. He's breaking the 10th. Salem Montgomery Jr. will bring it home in 11th. Carlos de la Torre will finish in 12th. Jack Ivey, there he goes, in 13th. Bjorn Heyman, 14th. David Poole will finish a dismal 15th. And David Zahn will round out the 16th position. And that is the last points paying position during a regular race. So there's no points aside from the 1 point for pole tonight. But we're gonna wait to see if we can have David Zahn finish his lap. On board with Mr. Zahn. To navigate these last couple of corners before that front start finish line. David Zahn bringing her home in 16th. 17th will be Iggy Giordia, Tom Schubeck in 18th, and Greg Myers in 19th for next week's feature race. Looks like. So there you have it. That is everybody. And that will set the grid for next week. So again, we want to give a big congratulations to well, Chris Moses actually won, but Brad Maris putting a great effort out there. And again, we do not have a post-race interview today, but we will have some pre-race and post-race interviews, and we will hope to actually have some in-race interviews with some of the drivers next week. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and don't forget that next week we start 1 hour earlier. It is the final round 10 of season 27 here at the North American Grand Prix. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you